Good morning. Aloha from tropical Montana, Montana Skywatchers 1 and 2, Facebook site and from YouTube. This is Samuel Hofman. How are you guys doing today? Today is May 16th, 2017. I threw together a real fast file of maze pics. Now, granted, this is just a mere portion of these pictures because we've getting thousands and thousands again, and some fantastic sightings. We have to announce that Nibiru is back. It's on the right-hand side of the sun. Currently, we're looking on the left-hand side of the sun, and we are looking at Atu's moon. Atu is crossing. It's going to work its way in a little bit farther. Folks are, of course, messaging me on my Facebook site, so bear with me because we're going to get some little hop-ups here. I should actually mark that I'm not available so people don't talk to me, but I haven't got to that right now. Anyway, moving along. Uh, I'd like to point out for all you new folks, these dark areas in the sky are actually planets. This is the real sky, and there's even some other stuff hiding in the background. There's a large flaring going on from the sun, having to do with a cutoff planet area over to the right hand side of this, but I want to point out that these cutoffs create an increased flaring, and what those people out there are talking about the fake sun. Well, we don't buy that. We don't jump into that. We don't even believe it. Anyway, moving along to the next picture. Atu's moon object cluster group, horizontal ion drag off cloud. Atu's moon has been famously doing that since we started sighting her in roughly 2013, 2014, when she became large enough for us to identify and understand what's going on. Anyway, moving on to the next picture. Here we have a picture from Richard, and thank you, Richard, very much. Now, granted, this is an augmented picture. It is color enhanced, but I want to show you a couple of things. We have our yellow dwarf soul, and we have the standard red, which is behind and adjoined and currently orbiting each other. Actually, I don't know how much orbitation goes on, but this is pretty much what we're seeing. Now, this is the lead object of the object cluster group. I wanted to tell you that right off the bat because some of these have different colors. Now over here, there's going to be a red one and a blue one and a green one and all the other object debris that is going along with that. Now there's some new changes because if you look over here, this is where Nibiru is. Nibiru is finally coming back in because we've been rounding the bottom area of Uri and Atu. And for those of you who've been watching our videos on a regular basis, you understand what I'm talking about. Nepenthe is over here. Saturn is approximately somewhere on this side, and we're seeing sightings of the yellow moon. Now, it is not always that visible, but moving along, I'm going to try and make this as quick as I can today because the longer I make this, the longer it takes to upload. Montana has the worst upload speeds in the nation, so bear with me, and I'm just going to try and flash through this. All right, here's another Atu's moon, ion drag off cloud. Now it's illuminated because it's at an angle where the sun can shine on it. And there's also some object cluster group issues where there's creating illumination because of its ionization and static charge between the other objects. Now I'm going to run through these as fast as I can. Here's a drag off cloud from the bottom of Atu, and that does a base cloud that when the atmospheres start to meet, there is a transfer of energy between the two planets, between Earth and Atu, and Earth and Ceru, etc., and all the other planets have a reactionary cloud effect between each other. And what you have to understand is a good portion of these clouds are out in space. They are not within our atmosphere. You go up in a plane these days, you get above the clouds, and you still see more clouds above that. And there are space clouds. You guys really got to get on board with this. And again, as I said, I'm trying to flash through this moving along. I've got approximately 30 or 40 pictures here I want to try and cover. All right. Here We have a Mexico webcam. James does fantastic work. He's always posting some great webcam footage for us. We've got an object over here, and I believe this to be Attu's moon or the lead object. A lot of the times we'll see this little striped white line in the lead object of the object cluster group. But the main reason that I posted this pic, second, third, or fourth, or whatever number it is, this is Nibiru. Nibiru is coming back into view. Now, Nibiru has a moon, a Mel-Saru. It's its main larger moon, and then Nana is somewhere approximately in here, and it concentrically orbits around a Mel-Saru. Now that we are rounding Uri and Attu, we are headed toward Nibiru, and behind it now is Saru behind, and that's where you get the green coloration, etc., etc. Now there's a flaring right here, and you can see the reddish hue right here, but if you look right here in this little circle, and right here, you have Isatum and Isatum's yellow moon. Okay, these pictures show up over and over and over again, and the reason that we know what's going on is because we've had so many comparative pictures over the last 7 years. We cannot refute this evidence. It's comparative science. It is coming up over and over and over again. Now, Nepicity is somewhere off in this area currently, but we know this out of practice. Even though you can't always see them, once you get understanding the base clouds and the particular pattern and where things are, and this is why I try to put out a drawing every month, you know, a crayon drawing, because crayons are what I have and they're fastest, and I don't have a great deal of time to throw at this because I have a house to run and a couple of sites, and I'm constantly talking to people on Skype and doing interviews on national radio programs and things like this, and so I'm quite stacked up and busy, and I'd love to get back hold of everybody who sends me a message, but I just can't get to everyone, and I apologize for that. I want you to know I do try. I'm not ignoring you. If I don't catch you the first time, send me a private message. No problem. Moving along. All right, here's another one. Here we have Attu. Attu's moon. Object cluster group is in this area. Here it's a different picture from around the world, and this is how we do comparatives. You guys have got to get on board with these. These are sky fillers. Currently, Attu is very close to Earth. It's between us and the sun, and that is a good portion of why we see the dark side of these planets. Now, I believe like this might be the object cluster group. The angle is changing recently, and there's some even sightings. Christopher Hill, thank you for your work. You're doing a fantastic job. Eileen Chang over in the Far East, you are doing a wondrous job. Thank you very much. I figured to mention a couple of our top reporters. Now we're doing citizen science. You know, we're not paying attention to that which NASA is telling us because we know that they're lies, because it's proven time after time after time. They're giving a half truth. They're telling us half information, but they're not giving everybody the information that is the truth because they don't want to panic a lot of people. And there's a lot of people out there already panicking. And for those of you who are new to the YouTube and Montana Skywatchers 1 and 2, you know, bear with us. If you need this information and you really want to search it, talk to us. You know, there's a whole bunch of members out there that already see these planets. I'm not the only one. We've been doing this for 7 years. You guys have got to get on board with the truth because there's a lot of disinformation and hype going on out there. And I'd really like to get you all this information and have everybody on the same page. And, you know, I don't charge money for this. I want you to know we're doing this because it's true. It's real. Anyway, moving along. Here is a discharge from Louisiana last week. I want you to know the planets do not crash into each other. This is Attu. Uri is back behind it. This is a discharge. The planets push each other away. They get in very close proximity. They come within somewhere, you know, 200,000 miles away from us or closer. I mean, I don't have, you know, measuring tape up there between the distance, but if you've never seen a lightning bolt this huge, this thing is massive. Now, last week through Louisiana, my friend Daniel Noe and a couple other people down there in that same area have cited this, and we're doing comparative science, and they're all doing the citizen science reporting, and this stuff is real. Okay, here's another shot. This is also from Louisiana. You can see the oil refineries and stuff. Here again is in a spatially illuminated, because it's so high above us, that the bottom of this is being illuminated by the sun. Now here's the 2-2 band, and for those of you who know what that is, it's the bottom of Uri. But anyway, we have a discharge, planetary discharge from close past. We live in an electric universe. These planets do not crash into each other. They repel. But the electrical effects are causing some serious damage to all sorts of things. We've had electrical brownouts all over the United States. For those of you that remember, that was like a week ago. I know a ton of people that are replacing their water heaters from this same brownout effect because heating elements do this. I've talked to 10 people, and myself included. I'm replacing a water heater I could not afford. I'm a single father, and I'm raising 2 children, and there's no extra money. But guys, this stuff is real. This is a discharge between the passing planets. Moving along. Here's another one. This is Atu. You can tell by the purple, you're discharging between the planets. These things are repelling each other. You're going, no, I'm not going to crash into you. I'm going to push away electrically. This is not a time-lapse footage. This is just one shot. It might be a small amount of time-lapse. I'm not totally sure. I didn't take the picture. I can't guarantee it. But time after time after time, these pictures show the same thing. Moving along. Okay, here is again. Now, Atu's moon is really close to us. It's really big. You've got Atu's moon. You've got Atu. You've got Uri. You got over here. You can see the white stripes of Uri and probably Nepacity over here. The yellowing effect. We know that its Saturn is near the sun, which is causing the reddish hue, etc., etc. I mean, how can we argue with this? It's the same pattern over and over again. Now, we've watched this for the last 7 years. We know what the bottom of the clouds look like, what we call the base cloud pattern. And it happens over and over again. And over time, this is how we become to the level of understanding of we know what we're looking at. Okay, moving along again, like I said before, I'm looking here and actually look at this dark shadow. This could be a Saturn right there. You know, I'm not 100% accurate on this because I don't take the pictures. I don't know exactly the day that it was taken, etc. But this is very, very accurate. All right, here again, we have the side of a planet. We have Atu's moon. We have Atu. The purple color shows. Here we have a reddish hue. We have a cutoff of something cutting off the sun. We have an illumination flare. You can see these directional lines. They show that something is actually cutting off and the light goes around it. And that's what these directional illumination flares are all about. If you guys just go out there, don't use welding lenses or do not film through glass and everything because you'll get a doubling effect. Don't film through airplane windows. I'm terribly sorry. You're still going to end up with something weird next to the sun. And most everyone is focusing on these small little items next to the sun. That is not what you want to look for. Don't even pay attention to those unless you really want to get down to the nitty-picky stuff and work on, the object cluster group passing on one side, Nana Amel Saru, the yellow moon of its Saturn, etc. But what you guys have to pay attention to is the big boys, because if you see this time after time after time, before you know it, you're going to see them automatically. It has to do with you believing that they're there. Most everyone is thinking, oh, they're way off in the distance and small, or we'd see them for sure. But we are seeing them for sure. Moving along. Okay, here's another example. Atu's moon. Atu is over here. We've got, illuminations, cross-clouding, all kinds of stuff. The clouds and the wispy ionization up in the upper atmosphere shows you these are atmospheric clouds. They are not our clouds down here. I know this isn't a great picture, but I'm trying to show you a pattern. Here's the round object again, which we know over time is Atu's moon. Here again is another example from somewhere, obviously, I don't even know where this picture is from. Here we have Atu's moon, the vertical ion drag-off cloud. We've got another object up here, probably from the object cluster group. We know that this shape right here is Atu, and in a lot of cases, Uri is behind it, depending. Now, we've also seen some incoming stuff from this side recently, and that could be the object cluster group rounding the backside of Attu and then coming around in front this way. Now there's numerous pictures, especially from Christopher Hill, just within the last few days. Thank you again, dude. I'd love to spend some time, and maybe we'll stick you on a video, and you can explain your experiences and how well you've learned this over time. And I'd like to get you on. Anyway, moving along, because I got a lot to do in a very short time in which to do it. Okay, here's another example. There's the vertical ion drag-off cloud. Attu's moon, the bottom. Attu is back here. We're seeing the ion drag-off effect. Okay, moving along. I'm trying to show you they're not just clouds. This is a repeated cloud pattern. And this is the base clouds and the ion drag-off clouds because there are clouds in space. They react between each other. The ion pull off between one larger body from a smaller body. Okay, here's another example. Here again is the purpley bubbly clouds, bottom cloud pattern of either Attu and Uri. Now, most likely Attu's over here, and this is Uri. And here again is Attu's moon, the vertical or horizontal, depending on your point of view. I mean, if it's over the top view, it's going to be vertical. But in generic, Attu's moon has an ion drag-off cloud because it has an effect as it passes close to Earth, and it creates an ionization and an electrical event, which causes the space water, which is partially why we're getting, a year's worth of rain in 2 hours, etc., and hail and all this other stuff, because all that moisture is being pulled up into the atmosphere. Attu, when she close passes, she sucks up our atmosphere straight up. All the moisture goes up there, reaches a point in space where it can no longer go up, and so it turns into ice balls the size of softballs and stuff and drops. Now, we've seen that in 2013. There was a lot of rain bombs from Attu and Uri when it first started. And then, of course, with the passing of Isatum and Nepesity, which happened in 2014, 2015, there was rain bombs from Nepesity like you wouldn't believe. And I mean, entire flooded regions just dropping off the bottom of Nepesity. It was smaller, and so it had a different effect as it came in close to our atmosphere. And again, I'm trying to get through this, so I'll move along. All right, here's another example. Attu's moon. We cannot argue with this placement over and over again. We've got something hiding down here, but I'm not sure what that is, so I won't go there. We've also been seeing a halo effect. Now, the halo effect is from a cutoff, from something cutting off the thing, or the illumination of the tool star of the side of Nibiru. We know Nibiru is coming back in, and her tool star, which is small mini placed orbiting facial star, which keeps them in alignment with their standard red. And for those of you who don't know that, you can go through some of my past material and you'll come to understand it. If you cannot get it from the material, PM me, ask me, whatever. Watch the YouTube vids. Please do your homework, because if you're coming on here and you're not being informed, well, then you're asking silly questions, but no question is really silly. But the point is I'd like you to have a basic understanding. That way you'll know what to ask, and then you won't be wasting my time and other people's, because we're all trying to get this together, and we're all working real hard with our comparative science. Okay, here's another one. This is a close passing planet. We've got the base clouds. We've got the discharge. This is the snail foot that's dropping down off the bottom of Attu. Now, it's entirely possible that Uri's behind, because Attu and Uri have been traveling as a pair since Attu's arrival or rounding from where its placement was prior to our viewing it. But anyway, you're seeing these patterns over again. And then we have a darkening effect way back here, and we know behind Uri to the right side of the sun, because the sun's setting over here, we know Nibiru's back there, and this is what's causing that milky, dark, weird-looking sky. If you're seeing it through your gray-black sunglasses, you know these are planets. Our normal sky is this light blue, not this crazy dark stuff. Moving along. Here's another example, a close pass. How do you argue with that round right here? How do you argue with the repeated patterns? We've got the red over here. We've got the greenish. This could be Nepesity. This could be Uri. And then we could have purple Attu right here, object cluster group. Now, these pictures come from around the world. They're not from the same place. And when you've got the same pattern over and over again, you cannot argue with this. All right, here. This is the cutoff of, and you can see the date up here, 507. This is Nibiru. and we've got some illumination, and I believe this is possibly illumination from the Tool star of Nibiru, which is facially on the left-hand side of Nibiru, which is on the right-hand side of the sun. You've got another planet over here, which is most likely Atu, and over here is most likely Nepesity. Now, over and over again, we see the same patterns. This large bell flaring has to do with the cutoff, which increases the illumination because the sun is shining through the atmospheres of these planets, and you can see it in the color variation here. Moving along. Okay, these are ion drop clouds. We know that there's a darkened planet right here, so that we know that there are effects. These are space clouds. These are not our clouds. Some of these down here may be. This could be a cumulus nimbus in our normal atmosphere. But what's going on here is in space. These could be little asteroid pieces, and they're all passing through, and this is an ion drop-off because the water is collecting in space and dropping down. Here is another example. Atu stripes, Uri with Uri's base cloud, Atu's moon up over here. See, this is prior to it rounding, and depending on location is where you're going to have the effect of what's what was where. But this overall repeated pattern with striped planets, and we've been seeing an awful lot of that this week. Some fantastic footage coming in. Thank you all out there again. I can never thank you guys enough, because your member science contributions are what's making the difference. Because you know, if I just took a bunch of pictures from my spot here, then I could say, well, okay, it's a cloud. But when we see the same thing all the way across the planet happening over and over again, those are not our clouds. They're space clouds, because they're so high up you can see them in France. They're so high you can see them in Hong Kong. They're so high you can see them in Canada, New York, Los Angeles, Florida, etc. Moving on. All right, here's another example. This came from Christopher the other day. And we believe that the OCG, the object cluster group, is rounding Atu. Now, being that Atu is moving and setting back now over to the right, it's working its way right. Before it was all the way over to the left. We believe that it's rounding, and we've been seeing it normally from this side rounding Atu, but I think it's rounding this way now, and that's why we're seeing the object cluster group working oddly to the opposite side. Now, it took me a couple of days to figure that out, but you got to think 3D and rotation, because they're rotating in a different way than we are, and we're sitting on a spinning ball, so it really messes with your mind. Moving on. Here's another example. This I believe I got from Eileen, and I'm not totally sure. Guys, I get so many pictures, it's hard to remember from where everybody comes. But here's the standard Atu Uri shape. Atu's moon, object cluster group. The shape happens over and over and over again. And we've got the yellowing off in the distance. We know that Isatum is over here. We know that Nibiru is back there, etc., etc. Same pattern. I mean, you can't have these things. Here we have a planetary discharge from Atu and Uri, and Atu's moon, the object cluster group. We've seen the same cloud pattern happen for 5 or 6 years now. We cannot argue. This is a discharge. Now, this one is probably reaching over to another planet. I would love to be in space to see this, but unfortunately, I'm still stuck on terra firma like everybody else. Moving along. These are phenomenal pictures. Here we have another discharge, planetary discharge. Look right here, guys. You cannot argue with these rounds. It's just, and we've got this milky blue. There again, another example of it. Okay, here's the wispy things flying through the atmosphere underneath a very large planet. This is the real sky. You can notice this cutoff line of color. This is the bottom of a massive overhead passing planet. They're huge. You've got to get on board with this. Don't spend your time looking for the little crap. You're wasting your time. This is an older pic. This is the object cluster group. This is lead object. There's another cluster group along with the items that are following through. And as you can see, here's the line again. This is the real sky. This whole blue area is a planet. Can't argue with it. It's over and over again. All right. This is a group of asteroids, and they're passing Earth every day. For those of you guys that are new, you've got to get on board with this. Some exciting stuff is happening, and it's also very dangerous. We don't know what's going to happen. It's not written in stone, but boy, we've taken enough comparatives. We know what's up there. Understanding the skies. Come on, we have to get together with this. All right, I've got all of these things, and let me see if I can clear some of them. I don't know if they're going to. Whoops, yeah, that's what happens. I hate it when that happens. That's why I shouldn't be doing that. But unfortunately, this is live, and I'm stuck doing it. Okay, we're going to scroll through really fast and give you guys a re-heads up of what I'm doing. All right. Sorry, I apologize. I should know better than to try and erase those things. But if they get in the way, they get in the way, and then my brain stops working for a brief second. Okay, come on. Come on, slow computer. Even though this is a very, very fast, very big computer, it has a tendency to give me a hard time. Here again, we have an overhead planet. The sun is shining. We've got the bubble refraction going on here because the light is going through the atmosphere of this planet. Okay, you can't argue with this. It happens over and over and over again. All right, here's another example. See the stripes of Uri? See this? You don't always see the full planet, but what you're looking for is that round, because that does not exist in space. These are real. You guys have got to get on board with this. I know I'm saying it over again. Here's another example. Overhead passing planets. This is Uri, and Atu is probably right here, and Atu's moon. The underlining red comes from the close proximity of Saturn next to, on the right-hand side of the sun. Here again, we've got possible object cluster group. Now it comes as it comes around Atu. Here again, how do you argue with this? You can't. You can't argue with it. Here you have Atu's moon, close proximity. This thing has been captured all around the world for over a month now. You guys have got to understand how this works. All right, this is from James Klingler. Here we have Atu, Atu's moon, object cluster group, stripes of Uri. See this, guys? How do we argue with that? Here it is again. We've got the flaring because it's cut off right here. Okay? Here is Nibiru. For those of you who've been waiting for Nibiru, here's Atu. Here's Nepacity up in here. Saturn is somewhere in here. That's where the red hue, over and over again. Now, granted, the picture is from February, but we did not have a full confirmation that this is what was Nibiru, because for the longest time we thought this was Uri crossing in, which is what she did do, but then she moved and settled up higher, and then it was, we have to see comparatives long enough to actually make the call, and this is Nibiru coming back in. Here again, the shape of Atu, Atu's moon, the ion drag-off clouds. Okay, this is probably right here, Uri, back when she was still cutting off the sun and pretty much overhead of all of us, planet Earth, etc. You've got to understand how this goes. Now, here's an aurora. Now, even during these auroras, there is Atu's moon. There's Atu. Yes, you see a whole bunch of stuff here, but I'm not so sure those are stars. I wonder if that's particulate. Everybody can be, a little on the fence on this one, but the shape says there's something right there. Here we have the shape again. Atu's moon, Atu, Uri, regular sky, not regular sky, overhead planet. Look, Uri, hiding in there. She's got a bunch of, these are tiny little clouds on their atmosphere. They're not our atmosphere. This is on around the side of the planets. Moving on. Base cloud, discharge, planetary close pass. What you guys are seeing is dangerous. There's stuff happening you really need to be aware of, and that is why we're doing this. We want to inform you. There's a lot more happening than the Weather Channel, NASA, or your federal government, or your national or your worldwide governments. They're underreporting these events. They do not want you to know. We see these base cloud patterns over and over again, and because of that, that's how we know what's going on. This is again from the Far East, and I believe this is directly from Hong Kong. Here we have Uri, the bubbly base cloud, the dark, dark planet. Now remember, the sun is on the other side, and that's why this is all dark, because this is the back side, the dark side of a passing planet. We can see other shapes. We know that Saturn is somewhere back over here, and this is why there's this strange sun illumination and a cutoff. Otherwise, this would be much bigger sunset. This is a planet, guys. They're sky pillars, one end of the sky to the other. This is a recent picture, as you can see. Wow, 215, which is odd because I thought this was a little bit newer. But object cluster group at 2, Nibiru, Uri, etc. The patterns happen over and over again. How can you argue with it? Here again is another round. The ionized drag-off clouds, affected space clouds. Moving along. This is what I believe is At-2's moon right here, causing its own little base cloud. And these are it's from a side angle, so it's not the same as the rest of them. But this again is an example of a repeated pattern that we see over and over again. This is a couple of months old, but I wanted to show you that same effect. There's the drag off. You've got the welling of the clouds. The atmosphere is being sucked up off of Earth on a close pass. The illumination of the sun is over here, but it's pretty much being cut off. And yet we're still being illuminated over here. And if you look to the left here, this whole area is in dark. Now on webcams and stuff, or for the radar and stuff, we're seeing a shadow passing Earth every day. And it's in the middle of the day. And that's because these planets, this is probably At-2 all the way over here. At-2's moon is probably this doing this, and that might even be there. It's really hard call, but over time, there's repeated pattern. You can't argue. All right, I believe we've gone full circle now. Anyway, aloha from tropical Montana, Montana Skywatchers 1 and 2, YouTube channel, Understanding the Skies, Samuel Hofman on the James Klingler YouTube channel. And I hope you guys have learned something from this, because we've been pumping out the same information. We're not making any money off this. We're trying to get everyone informed and on the same page so that they can understand, as citizen reporting member scientists, that this stuff is real. We're not guessing. We've been doing this for 7 years, and I really want to share this with all you folks. So everybody take care. Hey, have a great day. And for those of you I didn't talk to the other day, happy Mother's Day the other day. But anyway, May 16th, 2017, have a great day. Take care, everybody. Bye. Trying to figure out how to stop this thing, and that happens. All right. Still trying to figure it out. Oh, there we go.